But I think, law school, it trains you to think differently. We have to think of all of the worst possible things that could happen. And like you said, we then have to work out how to mitigate them.
Welcome to the You Are Lawyer podcast. Kristen Porter, how are you today?
I'm really, really good. Yeah, coming from Australia just before lunch, and it's quite late where you are.
Yes, and you will definitely be my first Australian guest, so I appreciate it. Yay.
Awesome.
So I was looking at your questionnaire. So for everyone listening, if you haven't been a guest, I have a questionnaire that says things like, would you attend law school again? All of this background information. And you said you were not sure. So what was that about?
Look, I did absolutely love being a lawyer. So my background is I always wanted to be in marketing. And I enrolled in that degree, and my mum strongly suggested I try law. So did marketing and law at uni, and then ended up in law and really did love it. But I don't know, the stress of being a lawyer, I didn't actually think it was that stressful a job. But now I'm in marketing, I can see, yes, when my friends did say you must have a super stressful job, then yeah, it really is. And so, I probably would still go to law school. I always like to say that I never regret doing anything, and I have never regretted doing anything. So I think it's still a really good degree, good skill set.
Yeah. The thing about being a lawyer is that people come to you when they have a problem that they can't figure out on their own. So there's a good amount of stress that's inherently there, just because if they could have figured it out, they would have,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So Kristen, you currently are working in marketing. How did that happen? It looks like you sold the majority of your law firm. You still have a little bit of it, or what's going on with you now?
Yeah, so I launched my own law firm 6 years ago in Australia, and I was conflicted. So we had a restraint of trade where I couldn't actually go after any clients in my local area. So I had to go back to my first love, which was marketing, and learn digital marketing so I could build a national practice so I could get clients all over the country. Our licensing is a little bit different to yours, so it's easier to do that. And because I was doing all my own marketing and really I built an in-house marketing team to really drive that growth engine for the firm. And since doing that, I realized this is really what I want to be doing. And I had a few other law firm owner friends reach out saying, can you help us? We've seen how much growth you've had. And so it really just spun out of that. I decided I didn't want to be a lawyer anymore, and that's a long story, and decided I was going to sell the firm completely, but ended up retaining 25%. So I've sold 75% of the firm because I built a really big personal brand. My law firm only helps real estate agency lawyers with their business law stuff. So it's a super niche practice, and I built a really big personal brand. I didn't want that to go to waste. So I essentially have to make the phone ring. I've got to bring in clients for the firm, and now I can help do that in marketing. So I launched my own marketing agency, helping law firm owners to build, grow, and scale their firms.
Yeah, that's really cool. Congratulations on the marketing firm, and even on opening your own law firm 6 years ago, because I know that was not easy. Yeah. So were you just working for other law firms in a real estate department, or did you create the firm and the niche all at once?
Yeah, created the firm and the niche. So I did start in private practice. I was in private practice for probably 8 years, and I loved business. And so I wanted to go in-house and become in-house counsel. So I did that for a few years, including for a very big real estate group here in Australia. So they have a house of brands. So they had 3 franchise groups, and I got to be the general counsel and grow that. And then, when I launched my firm, my business coach at the time strongly encouraged me to niche down. And because I had all the real estate experience, I'm 3rd generation real estate as well. Like my family have their own agency. I kind of grew up in it. And so that was a natural niche for me. So created the firm, created the niche at the same time, and started with a scarcity mindset. I thought there wouldn't be enough work in a super narrow niche, but I was very, very wrong. And my coach at the time was very, very right. I'm glad I listened to her.
I love to hear that. That's incredible. So have you listened to You Are a Lawyer before? Have you listened to the podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, that's why I started following you on Insta. So I've been listening a fair bit.
Okay, cool. Well, because everything you're saying is the entire point of the show, which is that the market is not saturated. You're a lawyer. You know how to think creatively. You know how to think strategically, right? But also
Yeah.
my whole thing is about like creating the life you wish existed. And you literally
Mm.
did that. I mean, it's amazing how I'm kind of laughing. I'm like, how can you have a scarcity mindset in your third generation real estate? Because you've never done it before. It's easier to work for someone else. It's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it is. And to be honest, the reason I started my firm was more out of necessity. I think that happens to a lot of law firm owners. So I was in-house. The company I was working for was divesting of all of their assets. So I was helping on the mergers and acquisitions, get rid of everything. And I could see that there wasn't going to be enough work to have an in-house legal team with the direction they were going, which was totally fine. But I'd started building legal bots on the side. I'd built this little like privacy bot and she could assess privacy breaches. And in Australia, we have to report them to the commissioner. And so I was kind of doing that on the side and went, oh, I could just go and get another job, or maybe I'll just see if I can, I don't know, go out my own and have a more of a lifestyle business is what I was thinking of, like you're talking about, just having that balance again, because we know how many hours us lawyers work when we're left to our own devices. So it kind of happened out of necessity. And then, yeah, I just ran with it.
Yeah. Okay. So growing up around real estate and in the real estate industry, did you know a lot of lawyers?
No, I didn't really know a lot of lawyers. I grew up in a rural area as well, a population of only 20,000 people. And no, I didn't know any lawyers, to be honest. It wasn't really until law school that I met other lawyers. Yeah, I hadn't really come across them if I'm being honest. I'm sure my grandfather and my mother and everyone did, given, their real estate background, but I'm a bit of an introvert, so I'd always kind of more stay at home or stay out the back of the room, and rather than, I don't know, mingle with everyone, if that makes sense.
It makes complete sense. Absolutely. Okay. So did you decide to not do real estate initially intentionally because you were so familiar with it? And was your family surprised when you decided to go to law school?
Oh no, my mum very much encouraged me to go to law school. I think I was the surprised one. But like I said, did the first law unit. I was actually going to drop it just to keep my mother happy. I thought I'd do the first law unit. I wanted to go into marketing, and no one else in my family had ever been to uni. And my mum thought I'd be a good lawyer. I think because she'd worked around so many lawyers before, and I think she would have liked to have been a lawyer herself, but never thought she was smart enough, which is ridiculous. She's the smartest woman I've ever met. But she was a single mum, so very different circumstances. So I thought in my head, I'll just enroll in the first unit. And then if I didn't like it, just say, no, it wasn't for me, mum, and I was going to focus on marketing. But actually did enjoy the first unit of study and thought, oh, well, I might as well keep doing this. And I don't know, I think a lot of us lawyers, type A personalities, once you start something, you've got to finish it. And I think my mum knew that as well. So I finished the degree, and yeah, that's that's the path I went on.
Hmm. Yeah, I had a guest a couple seasons ago who called it the law school conveyor belt. Because once you get started, it's so hard to
Mm.
jump off or even look at anything else because you're just like, there's so many things in the way. Here's an internship, here's a job, here's this, here's an opportunity. And you just stay on it for 20 years or however long. And then you're like, oh, I've done that my entire career. So, what is law school like in Australia? Because in the States, you have university, which is 4 years, and then you go on to law school, which is typically 3 years. Is it something similar?
No, very, very different in Australia. So some universities you can go in as an undergraduate. So you can go straight in and just do 3 years of law school and that's it, straight from high school. I did what's called a double degree here in Australia. So I did a Bachelor of Commerce and Bachelor of Law. That's the usual path where you're studying your essentially undergrad at the same time as law. So you're usually starting to do 1 or 2 law units whilst you're doing that kind of undergrad, I think what you call it over there. So no, it's very different in Australia. So even my best friend, she was even young for her year at school, and she went straight into a law degree. So she was at law school at 17 or 16 or something. So we can go straight in from high school. Yeah, oh, she's so smart. It's not funny. Yeah.
That is amazing. I cannot imagine making that big of a decision because I got out of university and then worked for about 5 years and went to law school at 28. So I could not imagine being 17 in law school.
Yeah, there are a lot of people in Australia I've noticed that do come to law as a second degree or as a mature student. So there is much more of that happening. But generally, the law school, you straight out. And then that means you're what we call an admitted solicitor, so licensed in Australia by the age of like 23, 24. You have some pretty young lawyers over here.
I love that though. I mean, if you're focused, if you know what you want, absolutely go straight through. And then what is the process like afterwards? Do you get an internship and that's where you actually learn how to do the day-to-day stuff? Or do you kind of do internships while you're still in school?
Yeah, that's interesting. So they have a thing over here called summer clerkships. So the really big firms will put on interns over the summer period. But essentially what happens once you finish law school, you then do what's called your practical legal training, which is some more coursework. And then you have to do, I think it's either 75 or 90 days in a law firm. So you do practical experience. You generally get paid for that, although there's so many law grads coming out in Australia. I'm not sure if it's like that in the US. There's just so many law grads coming out and just not enough jobs. So yeah, you do, most of the states, we have something called College of Law. So we go and do that extra study and do those practical days. And then what happens is we get admitted to the court. So we go in and get sworn in at the court and get admitted to the role of practitioners. And then, yeah, we can call ourselves lawyers and solicitors.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that background. Because I haven't spoken to an Australian lawyer, I had to get some details.
Funny story about my admission ceremony. So over here, it's all focused on your admission ceremony where you go to the court and you get sworn in. And over here in the Supreme Court, so you go into your state's Supreme Court, we have a court higher than yours. We have a high court. So our Supreme Court is our state court. And they wear wigs, and for this particular ceremony, they were in their red robes and everyone's families are in there. And it was really funny. This little kid, as the justices came in, this little child jumped up and yelled at the top of his little lungs, "Mummy, Mummy, there's Santa Claus." And then one of the justices went, "Ho, ho, ho, Merry Christmas." It was the cutest. So it's very formal, it's very serious, but at the same time, we're Australia. We're a bit more laid back.
I'm pretty sure I would have thought that was Santa too. Because I've seen images of those red robes. That is so funny. So are they wearing like the traditional white robes parted down the middle and then rolled on the sides?
Yeah, well, they're usually black, but
Okay.
I'm not sure why. The white wigs, but yeah, the
white
black,
wigs, yeah.
black
Okay.
robe. Yeah.
Very cool. So I am in marketing. When I'm not recording for this podcast, I launch podcasts for other people because I call myself a storyteller. If I met you somewhere, I would say, "Hi, I'm Kyla. I'm a storyteller." I can take the smallest thing and turn it into a story. And people are like, "Tell me more. Can I buy that? Where can I get it?" And it's the funniest thing because I always hated sales and I didn't realize storytelling is selling. So lawyers make great marketers. That's what I'm saying. What is it that you love about running a marketing agency?
So I think I like using the creative part of my brain. I know as lawyers we can be creative, but it's a little bit different. And I think the biggest thing is I think it is telling the client's story and getting lawyers, like you said, I think we get focused on sales and we feel icky. But marketing, especially as lawyers, I think it's more about education. I think a lot of us lawyers want to help people and we want to educate. And if we focus on that side, then I think we're good.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said being a lawyer and with the marketing, you're telling the client story, but you could have worked for a marketing agency. What made you decide to start your own?
Oh, that's true. I could have gone and worked for someone. However, I think after having my law firm and the entrepreneurial side that goes with it, so my law firm's a little bit different. We're not just a traditional firm. We have what I call our custom legal services like any law firm kind of would have. But then we have an online template store. We've got a subscription subscription model for that recurring revenue. We also sell courses and do a lot of training for real estate agents. So I think I just really love that creating side. And I think I wanted to go and create another business. I know that there's kind of two types of energies with business owners. You have people that have really long sustaining energy and they can come in and run a business. That's not me. I've got really high activating energy. So I need to be creating things, launching new things. And I think that's why I wanted to start a new business. And I love being my own boss. I love being able to pick up my laptop, work from anywhere in the world. Don't have to answer to anyone. So yeah, I'm not sure I could go back to working for someone else, or sometimes you do dream about it when cash flow is a bit tight or something like that. But but no, I think I do love being my own boss and
Yeah.
creating things.
Yeah, there's a joke I've been seeing on social media lately where people are like, I knew I had to run my own business because I can't imagine telling another adult I'm going to lunch. And I was like, I know, we used
Yeah.
to do that. Like, hey,
Well,
I'm
have
going
you
to get a
seen, have you
coffee. I'm
seen
going out. Yeah,
going? Well, have you seen the memes? It's like, I didn't want to work 9 to 5, so I started my own business. Now I get to work 24/7. Like,
true.
seen that
So
one going
true.
around.
Absolutely. Okay, so you decided to start your law firm and you were working with a coach. So you decided to start your law firm and you were working with a coach. I am a big fan of coaching. How did you get connected with a coach and what was it like? Is it different than therapy in Australia? Is it more like a high achieving or executive coach or what?
Yeah, look, I absolutely love coaching. Definitely different to therapy. I admit I have a psychologist. I see them regularly because I think that's really our mental health, especially for lawyers, is really important. But the coaching, I'm never without a business coach, actually, because I always think there's just so much more to learn. I think I got connected with them through social media or something. I think they're running free webinars and I joined that and I end up in that group. And it's group coaching. I actually prefer group coaching because I think you learn so much from everyone else in the group. Like I do like one-on-one as well, but I just feel group coaching, you get into a community of like-minded people, you learn from each other, and of course you learn from the coach.
Yeah. Okay. So I've had this podcast for 6 years and I had never considered coaching until this podcast. I probably have interviewed probably 30 coaches by now. And lawyers make really good coaches, and executive coaches will come on here and high achieving or high performing coaches. And I'm like, I feel like I could need that. And then everyone was like, I can't believe you haven't had one. And now I'm obsessed. They're so good.
Yeah, I wouldn't be without one, honestly. I just think there's just always so much more to learn. And I like it when they've got structured training programs that go alongside the coaching. So it is more learning as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very different way of learning because I'm a big reader. But when you do have the coach and you
Yeah.
get to feed off their information and then, they're going to hold your feet to the fire and like make sure you're actually doing stuff. Or to your point, when it's a group coaching and you get to learn from other people's stories, it's, it's amazing. I love coaching because I think you're always changing. So you should always have a coach.
Yeah, and another one that I had, I don't know if you've heard of Carolee Fontanelli. She's really big here in Australia, and there she's got people in the US and Canada in her coaching group. And I learnt so much in that program, and I'm now actually the marketing coach in that. I don't really see myself as a coach, but also I just like teaching and helping people. So I suppose that is what that is. But yeah, I much prefer to be coached if that makes sense and learn. But again, you also learn from students as well. You learn from if you're open minded enough, you always learn.
Yeah, it's very true. So the one thing I keep hearing is you talking about being creative, being an entrepreneur. Would you have called yourself a creative person before you started all these businesses?
Oh, absolutely not. No. And even the word entrepreneur, I know I used it. I still see myself as a business owner. I think entrepreneurs create like new things like that haven't been seen before. And I know that's not the actual definition, but that's just how I see them. I see them as these amazing people that have done something that no one's ever thought of. But no, I definitely wouldn't have thought. I think when I was younger, I was really creative. I was into fashion and I like entered fashion design things and thought I might end up down that path. And I think once I went to law school, there's the creativity side, my brain just turned off. I don't know what happened. So it wasn't until, launching this and getting into all of that when I hang on, there's this little creative side of me that's still in here. And I think a lot of lawyers, especially when you're junior, just focus so much on the law and getting promoted and the next pay rise and then, the next thing that we do shut off some other parts maybe of our personality that are still there and are screaming to come out once you hit 40 or 30 or whatever the age might be. Yeah.
No, that's so true. I so it's May when we're recording this and my birthday just passed. I just turned 42 and I
Oh,
just put
happy
up a video.
birthday.
Thank you. And I just put up a video of me dancing in the park and I was like, law school didn't kill my whimsical nature. I'm so happy.
Love it. Love
Because
it.
it does. There's something about the strategy and the problem solving. And for a while, I would describe myself to my psychologist as why can't I think of the word? Like, oh my gosh, it's so bad. But like, I would see the worst in everything so bad. I was just like, everything is the like catastrophe. And I was like, I just cannot see anything positive because like my husband and I, he's like, you want to have a kid? And I was like, I don't know. Do you know how many things can happen with kids? And he's like, do you want to buy a house? I'm like, do you know how many things can happen with a house? Like, I just could not, I was a catastrophist. All I could see was
Catastrophe.
like, yes. And then
Yeah.
something happened. Well, the pandemic happened and I just got married and something in my brain was like, all of this could go away just that quick. And all of a sudden I was
Yeah.
like, I could mitigate any risk I find. And it really was that quick because then the podcast started April 2020. And I was just like, oh, okay. All right. So it's funny because for a long time, like my whimsical nature was gone. My fun, silly, creative side was gone. And then I just was like, Kyla, you can mitigate anything, or you have lawyers in your phone that you can call. You know what I mean? And I just became obsessed with taking risks. So yeah,
Oh, that's
I
great.
wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I was just saying
We're
that because I would not have called myself a creative person either, which is so weird because I went to creative schools my entire childhood. Yeah, like I have a self-portrait of myself I made in high school. I used to paint my jeans. So, yeah.
But law school, it trains you to think differently. We have to think of all of the worst possible things that could happen. And like you said, we then have to work out how to mitigate them, especially like, I don't know if you're front or back end. So I'm a front end lawyer, so not a litigator. So I do the deals and do the contracts and do the structuring. And you have to think of every single thing that could possibly go wrong. And I think it does make us catastrophize, does make us pessimistic. And yeah, it makes us all need therapists quite a lot, I think.
It does. But a lot of the lawyers that I know, they were terrified to see a therapist because they were like, no, it's just part of it. And I was like, yeah, but I don't know if it has to be, right? Let's kind of change some of that narrative. So I'm doing my part with the podcast to kind of help people to see we can literally do everything and we have so much time. Because another thing with being a lawyer is it makes you so conscious of time. Because I was a front house lawyer as well. So I did transactional law where I had to bill my time in 6-minute increments. And so I am so good at looking at something. I'm like, I can't give 106 minutes to that movie. Sorry, I can't do it, Sorry. But now as a business owner, it does make you like, oh my gosh, you know how much stuff I can get done with in an hour? I'm like, wait. So it's weird, but I know we can like never turn it off, which I think is a positive thing. What would you say?
Yeah, I think it can be quietened, I think. I think you're right. It's probably never turned off, but like you said, it has its positives. So you just need to look at the positives in things and quieten that little voice in the head when it needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So, Kristen, I have 2 more questions. The first one is, what would you say to a lawyer who's having trouble with their marketing? Whether it's the sales piece, whether it's just talking about their business, what would you say to a lawyer?
I would say, look, what's your personality like? So I remember when I was a more junior lawyer, all those rainmaker partners going out having boozy lunches and schmoozing, those Harvey Specter types. And that was just horrifying to me. And I was trying to do that. And I was just not very good at it. But 2, it drained me and I was tired all the time. I was getting headaches. And then I realized that, I'm an introvert. There are other ways to do marketing. So try to find a way that actually aligns with your personality. Again, we're trying to create balance in life and other things. So for me, digital marketing works really well because I can sit behind my desk. I don't have to go and shake hands and smile and, schmooze a whole room. So maybe focus on what your personality type is and then go down that path. The other thing I'd say is most lawyers and law firm owners are very successful and are obviously doing something right. So really double down on what's working well for you, because I think a lot of people, and I'm one of them, I like to chase shiny objects. But in reality, what we should be doing is doing more of what's working really well, tweak what isn't, and then only maybe 20% go chase new things.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. 5% of your law firm that you still own, are you still actively involved, or it's something that you keep because your name is on it or for big decision making or what?
Yeah, so I run all the marketing for the law firm. So it's still my job to make the phone ring. That's my one job. So I'm off the legal tools. I'm still got the title partner, because a lot of work comes into me and then I give it to the relevant team. We have decided, because mental wellness in the workplace is really, really important to us. We want to make sure all the partners can actually take leave and not have to take holidays without checking their email or having the phone ring. So I will cover their leave. So I'll jump back on the legal tools to cover leave, just because of that, mental wellness is so important to us. But yeah, off the legal tools, but still very, very much involved in the business.
I thought that was important, especially because you recommended your business partner to be a guest on the podcast. So I was like, I want to hear that part of the story. So thank you. And then, Kristen, because you listen to the podcast, I ask every guest, what would you say to a young lawyer or law student about what they could do with their law degree?
And I think, like a lot of you guess, you can do anything with it. You don't necessarily have to be a lawyer. I think being a lawyer is actually really, really good training, but a law degree can make you think differently. You can end up doing marketing for lawyers, for example. I think we're trained really well in writing. So don't think you just have to be a lawyer. I think it is good to get that initial training, but also I think the sunken cost fallacy, just because you do go down a certain path doesn't mean you can't change it later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I think that's really good, because we can do anything with it. And I don't think, to your point much earlier in the show, I don't think you'll ever regret it, because you'll always use pieces of your law degree somewhere. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Kristen Porter. I really appreciate this. And I'm so excited for my first Australian guest. Thank you so much.